The storyline of Sansa in Season 5 was met with heavy backlash from book fans and show watchers alike. It destroyed a meticulous northern plotline that we see in the books and undermined Littlefinger's character. Most importantly though, it subjected Sansa to even more abuse, adding unnecessary sexual violence to a character who has already been through a lot of trauma in a show that had too much sexual violence to begin with. Good news is that this storyline will 100% not happen in the books. So if that's the case, then what lies in the future for Sansa Stark? Before we start, if you like my content, remember to give a like, subscribe and share so that more people can see it. Make sure to click the notification button so that you never miss a new video. In the books, after escaping King's Landing, Sansa stays in the Vale alongside Littlefinger, and the storyline in the north features Jeyne Poole instead, a character who was cut from the show. In A Game of Thrones, Jeyne travels alongside other Northmen to the capital, since her father Vion is Ned's steward. After the massacre of the Starks and their forces in the Red Keep, Jeyne disappears and Littlefinger is supposed to take care of her. She reappears in Jaime's chapter in A Storm of Swords, where she is posing as Arya Stark, though Jaime recognizes that this isn't really her. Jeyne is supposed to marry Ramsay Bolton, a newly legitimized bastard son of Roose Bolton. It is also implied that Littlefinger forced Jeyne to work in one of his brothels, since she says that she was taught how to please men and has traces of whipping on her back. Jeyne makes it to the north, and the only person who could reasonably deny her true identity is Theon Greyjoy, who is however too mentally scarred to stand up for her and denounce her as an impostor. Some people are aware of the truth about Jeyne not being Arya, including Ramsay, who notices that she has brown eyes instead of Stark signature grey. After the wedding, Ramsay subjects Jeyne to extreme torture, but Theon finds enough strength and bravery in him to save this unimportant girl. And here lies the crux of it. This storyline was always about saving an unimportant girl. Those who believe Jeyne to be Arya want to rescue her solely because she is a daughter of a man they loved, but those who know the truth don't even lift a finger to save her from this torment. Even Mance Rayder and the washerwoman who came to Winterfell to save Arya only do so because they believe her to actually be Jon's sister. Theon, who has been mentally scarred by Ramsay's torture, makes a conscious decision to risk further torture in order to save the steward's daughter. Here lies the sad beauty of it all. Littlefinger forcing Sansa to marry Ramsay in the show undermines this message and makes him into an incredible fool. A Stark-Bolton marriage is there to legitimize Bolton's rule over the North that is meant to replace the Starks, and by marrying Sansa, he all but strengthens his claim. If Ramsay and Sansa had children, they would bear the name Bolton, and Stark's line would eventually be extinguished, since Bran, Rickon and Robb are all considered dead. This is the point of the betrothal between Jeyne posing as Arya and Ramsay, to secure the North in the hands of the people loyal to the Lannisters and replace the Starks. For Littlefinger to give Sansa to Ramsay is an extremely stupid move, not fit for a political genius. He all but legitimized the Bolton rule in Winterfell and made it harder for the Starks to reclaim it. He did not have a plan to undermine the Boltons in any way either, he simply sent Sansa there to be abused and raped, something his book counterpart would never do. Not only that, but the Northmen loyal to the Starks would never let this marriage to happen and would not sit idly as Ramsay abuses Ned's daughter. Asked about the decisions to substitute Jeyne with Sansa, creators Benioff and Weiss said, "We really wanted Sansa to play a major part this season. If we were going to stay absolutely faithful to the book, it was going to be very hard to do that. There was a subplot we loved from the books, but it used a character that's not in the show." Brian Cogman added, "The seeds were planted early on in our minds. In the books, Sansa has very few chapters in the Vale once she's up there. That was not going to be an option for one of our lead characters. While this is a very bold departure, we like the power of bringing a Stark back to Winterfell and having her reunite with Theon under these circumstances. You have this storyline with Ramsay. Do you have one of your leading ladies, who is an incredibly talented actor, who we've followed for 5 years and viewers love and adore, do it? Or do you bring in a new character to do it? To me, the question answers itself. You use the character the audience is invested in. So the creators were disinterested in adapting Sansa in the Vale storyline, and they thought that the audience would not sympathize with Jeyne Poole, hence they decided for that substitution. In that case, why not cut this storyline altogether? Probably because they love adding graphic rape scenes to the show and brutalizing their female characters too much to give it up. In the books, Sansa makes it to the Vale and hides her identity as Alyne Stone, posing as Littlefinger's illegitimate daughter. Peter marries Lysa Arryn in order to secure the Vale in the name of the crown, but kills her when she gets obsessively jealous over Sansa. Alyne is put in charge of taking care of Lysa's orphan son, Robert, named Robin in the show. Robert suffers from epilepsy and his fits are calmed by sweet sleep. The Maester in the Vale informs Sansa that Robert should not overuse this medicine because it never truly leaves the body. A cumulative dose will kill him. Sansa, however, insists on medicating the boy. Due to Robert's sickly status, it is assumed that Harold Harding will be the heir of the Vale as Jon Arryn's closest relative. Alyne is betrothed to him and he remains unaware that she is actually Sansa Stark. A likely scenario is that once it will be possible, her marriage to Tyrion will be annulled, since it was not consummated, and when her identity is revealed, she will marry Harold and become the Lady of the Vale. For this to happen, Robert has to be eliminated, and it can be easily done by overfeeding him sweet sleep. It will be easy enough to frame it as an accident, since Robert is already sickly. Little Robert is also somewhat aware of this, pointing out that Harold can't wait for him to die so that he can be the heir to the Vale. There are discussions as to whether Sansa is even aware of the dangers of sweet sleep. I believe that she is, since the Maester is pretty clear in the implication. Sansa's show storyline ended with her declaring independence for the North and becoming its queen. In the show, such progression made some sense, though it must be said, it was executed very poorly, as was everything in that show. Rickon was dead, Bran was king of Westeros, Jon was exiled, Arya is younger, so Sansa remained a sole claimant to Winterfell. In the books, the matter is far more complicated. The ending of the show and the books will be different. The political situation in the North is far more complicated in the books. Let's start with Robb's will. Robb disinherited Sansa after she was married to Tyrion in order to prevent Lannisters from claiming the North. He named Jon as his heir, and Stannis even suggests that Jon pushes for his claim, but his Night's Watch vows prevent him from acting on his desire for it. Perhaps after his death and resurrection, he will change his mind, since he theoretically would be released from his vows. Fact remains that Sansa was disinherited. Additionally, Rickon is still alive, and at least one person is aware of his survival. Wyman Manderly, who learned the truth from Wex, Theon's mute squire. Wex knows the truth about what happened in Winterfell, that Bran and Rickon escaped and that Theon killed the Miller's boys and presented their charred corpses as the bodies of Bran and Rickon. Rickon was found in Skagos and his direwolf is proof of his identity. It's likely that his existence will be used to challenge the Bolton's claim to Winterfell, though even that is not certain since Wyman Manderly was attacked by the Freys and it's unknown whether he will survive. Moreover, Sansa never expresses interest in ruling as a queen regent. When she thinks of herself as a queen, it is largely the representative role a queen consort might have, not someone actually ruling. Those are dreams of a young girl who is yet unaware of the truth about Joffrey's nature, and her priorities drastically change. What Sansa wants is to reunite with her family, have a husband and children. She also doesn't really learn how to rule. Sure, she observes Littlefinger navigating politics, but that is not enough to make her a capable ruler. Of the two, Arya is more likely to have a leadership role. It is Arya who takes the lead after the escape from Harrenhal, and in Harrenhal she serves as Roose Bolton's cupbearer, where she sees the behind the scenes of the politics. Arya also liked to spend time around her father's people when she was younger. Bran acts as the ruling lord of Winterfell in Robb's absence too. These two have more reasons to be rulers. Moreover, Sansa does not make alliances, does not command armies, nor is she taught how to. She does not pass taxes or plan budgets. She ignores Littlefinger gouging prices and even organizes feasts consisting of 64 dishes now that winter is coming and the peasants of the Vale will starve, to which she is completely indifferent, even though she saw what peasants are capable of doing when they're starving. I have a bone to pick with how George R.R. Martin writes Sansa because it seems too stagnant to my liking. Her organizing the feast and ignoring price gouging stands in stark contrast to her usual compassion and what she already witnessed. Sansa should have been given character development, set aside her prejudices, and at least oppose the feast if she can do anything about the price gouging, but that never happens, and that fault lies in the writer who is not interested in giving her that growth. Sansa will likely find the way to get rid of Littlefinger though. The Ghost of High Heart has a vision of a girl slaying a giant, and considering that Littlefinger's house comes from Braavos and has a giant in its sigil, it's likely that the prophecy means Sansa metaphorically slaying Littlefinger. The way to do that is to expose Littlefinger for killing Lysa Arryn, and perhaps for being the one to set in motion the poisoning of Robert. I believe that Littlefinger's execution in the show might be a nod to a future trial he may have. If that happens, she will reveal herself as Sansa Stark, remain in the Vale and marry Harold without Peter's corrupting influence around her. That way she gets to be a southern lady like she always wanted and finally finds peace and happiness. The Vale Knights may be an important force in the reclamation of Winterfell, and perhaps even during the fight against the others. Moreover, let us once more consider the quotes of showrunners. We really wanted Sansa to play a major part this season. If we were going to stay absolutely faithful to the book, it was going to be very hard to do that. In the books, Sansa has very few chapters in the Vale once she's up there. That was not going to be an option for one of our lead characters. The most logical course of action for Sansa is that she will likely reveal herself as Sansa Stark, marry Harold Harding, become the Lady of the Vale, and get rid of Littlefinger after exposing him as the murderer of Lysa Arryn and Robert Arryn. It's not very likely that she will be queen, since she was disinherited. She does not learn how to rule, nor does she express any ambitions of this sort. Her storyline was an invention of the show, as confirmed by the creators. Her future is as the Lady of the Vale alongside Harold, and that's okay. She deserves happiness after all that happened to her. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please leave a like, subscribe and share so that more people can see it too. Make sure to click the notification button so that you never miss a new video.